Okay, so the Black Brant 3 comes with this parachute. It's a typical type of plastic parachute that Estes makes, and you find this on almost all rocket kits for the last, 60 years or so. It's about a 10-inch parachute, and we got our shroud lines here. What we're going to do is to show how to make this connect to the recovery system that we have in the Black Brant. The Black Brant 3 recovery system that we just got done building has a brass eyelet in it on a Kevlar blanket. And the purpose is we want to put all the stress on the metal eyelet rather than putting it on the nose cone. Again, reliability is something I'm always concerned with, and I've had plenty of nose cone eyelets tear off. Now this is where there's many that will show you to say, well, okay, put a fishing swivel on there. You got a swivel and you've got a little clip. But the problem is that's two pieces of metal, and they're each about 1 inch long, so you're trying to stuff 2 inches of metal into your ejection system. And it turns out that the metal clip usually has a little pin on the end of it, which usually I found tangles up on things. I used them once or twice, and each time my lines have tangled. People that use them say, well, I've never had that happen. Well, I had it happen 2 times in a row, so I just simply don't use them. The third reason is that putting a swivel on the parachute, that's a fairly common thing because people say, well, it eliminates a lot of the twisting. Well, I've not seen a parachute do a lot of twisting, so I really can't say that that's going to help. And some videos that actually do that say, well, we're really not sure, but we're going to do this anyways. So what I'm going to do is to set up this parachute so we can use it on the recovery system that we just got done putting together. And you can interchange these two very easily by just untying a knot. So to do it, we're going to have a very small piece of this thin heat shrink. I think that was a 3/32, a very thin piece. And I'm going to basically make the same type of cord that I did for the streamer. I'm going to put a loop on this end and a loop on this end, then we're just going to tie them together. So I'm going to make this about 2 feet long. So I need to tie some knots in it. Okay, I'm going to tie a very small knot on the end where the parachute goes, because all we need to do is to really pass this knot through this knot, so I don't need to pass the parachute through it. So I'm going to tie this as a fairly small knot. I need a little bit of length because it's a little hard to tie these knots sometimes. See, Kevlar is not the easiest to tie because it likes to spring apart very easily. Oh, and there we go. It was so small that the knot started pulling apart. Okay, I'll just make a little bit larger length here just to work with. We are still going to make the knot fairly small. Okay, so I'm going to make the knot like this. Yeah, that's a fairly small knot. This doesn't have to be very large. I'm going to pull that very tight, as tight as I can get that. Okay. In a moment, I'm going to cut this little pigtail off. We're going to put some CA glue on here, but we're going to tie the knot on the other end. Now, what I'm going to do is just simply make this knot a little bit larger because we know we want to go through the eyelet. Then we do want to pass the parachute through this, so this is going to be a little bit larger. It didn't tie as easily as I would like. Let me just slide the knot down a little bit more. Okay, there. Okay, so this loop needs to be big enough to pass this parachute through. That should be fairly easy to do. And this loop needs to be only big enough to pass this loop through here when we tie it onto this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is cut this little pigtail off till it's a little bit shorter. Now I'm going to put some CA glue on both of these, and then I'm going to set it aside to dry for about a half hour. And again, I have a old style incandescent light bulb in a lamp, and all I do is I just have a wire across the top of the lamp, and I just simply hang this on there. CA glue will dry very well like that. I like doing that because that's a gradual drying, which lets the glue soak in a lot more. CA glue is really nice because it does soak in and it wicks into whatever you touch it to. So I'm going to just take this, smear it around the knot, and that's smeared around quite well. And just a little bit too much on it because it's starting to drip off of this. Just wipe off the excess there. And I'm just going to hang this over this edge. Put a water bottle on it just to hold it in place. And put the CA glue on here. Use the water bottle as my extra hand. Okay. So now we have our mounting cord. You can see we've got a large loop and a small loop. Small loop will attach to the shroud lines. This will attach to the eyelet. I'm going to let this dry. Just squeeze this a little bit and be careful with my fingers to help pull in that pigtail just a little bit. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set this on the lamp, dry it, and I'll be back in about a half hour to finish the final assembly.